Robbie, just the two runners on Saturday. First of all, the Fillies Mile, the fifth race of the afternoon. You've got SANTIBURI. She's in a top-class field, but she has beaten Safe Harbour, who's subsequently come out and won the million in Cape Town.
Yeah, she won a good race that day, and hopefully she's come in as a second run after quite a long layoff. She needed the run last time. Drawn 1 a mile, possibly still a little bit sharper, but with Striker on, I think she's going to run an excellent race.
Just as a matter of interest, did he ask for the ride?
Well, he won on her before, and we sort of planned it that if she does run wherever she's running, he would ride her, and he agreed to that.
Fantastic, that's good news. Then OKAVANGO Delta, he finds himself in the deep end, but I think he's a classy-looking individual, and as we were discussing off camera, perhaps a little bit more ground in time to come?
Yes, a little bit more ground. He's drawn a bit badly. Hopefully we're running on at the finish. A mile way too short to me, what I think at the moment. But he won a good maiden the other day, and so it's just a progressive race for him. And Colin's in town, and it's nice to have a runner on the big day for him, also with SANTIBURI, obviously.
Obviously, it's sad that the Vaal has rained out. There's obviously been a lot of rain at Turffontein as well, but Randkiesfontein seems to have escaped unscathed.
Well, so far, but you know, the track on Saturday, it just depends. You know, it depends how. We're not too sure. These runners, they've never run in very heavy going, and if it is very heavy on Saturday, we're all going to be learning something.
Well, Matthew, in a week that there have been more panel discussions and breakfasts, we're down to the final curtain with some rather inclement weather. We do need the rain, but we're just hoping it all pulls together. Starting off in race number 1 with this fella behind us, THAROOS.
Yeah, and he's a smart sort. You know, we've always rated him. He's got a lot of ability, but there's a lot of first-timers in the field, so I'll be very cautious. But you know, expecting a big run from him.
Work good?
Very good.
Excellent. Right. So then we move on to race number 1, named after your girlfriend, my ANGELFACE, and Anthony Delpeche.
Yeah, she's a nice filly. She's definitely bred for further, but she's got ability, and I think she'll be right there.
Okay. Well, I think that we're getting MOOFEED pretty much sussed out now. He clearly likes the sting slightly out of the ground, and this is a good trip for him.
Yeah, you know, he's a consistent type of horse. Always running places in big races, but never really seems to win. He does have a handy weight on Saturday, so hopefully that's a big thing in our favour, and we're expecting another good performance from him.
It's a cracking field, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good field in our battle to find a winner.
Okay, then we move on to the unbeaten daughter of New Approach, Dame ELEANOR, Anthony Delpeche back in the irons. An interesting contest, but it will help the fact that Maleficent is no longer there.
Yeah, 100%. You know, these type of races, the form seems to change a lot, and it's hard for us to assess this filly because she doesn't show us anything at home. She's done nothing wrong, and her last win was quite convincing, and Favours Pride, I think she ran a decent race in her last run, so the form seems to be standing up okay. She's got a nice draw, everything's in her favour, but like I said, it's really hard to assess how she's going to go because she doesn't show us anything.
Definitely the race of the day, besides the SANSUI Summer Cup, is the Investec Dingons. You're three-handed there. All horses with definite, legitimate chances, but potentially one superstar.
Yeah, it's hard to say, Andy. We're very lucky to have those 3 horses in the race. If we just had one of them in the race, you know, we'd be very confident that they'll give a good run and win, you know. So to have all 3, we're very, very lucky. It's just going to be on how the race works out because horses like Genevieve and Baldrex are very well drawn and they're going to find their positions very comfortably. And horse like Heavenly Blue, which may have the most potential, has got a difficult draw to overcome and probably needs further. So, you know, it's just going to depend on how the race maps out. And but they're all very fit and well, and we're expecting them to give their best.
Okay, you've made a decision based on his ability over the extended trip, rather to run him over a distance over which he is most effective, rather than running the SANSUI Summer Cup. And of course, I refer to number 2, ENAAD, with Anthony.
Yeah, obviously we gave it a bash, trying to see if he's good enough to run the Summer Cup, but doesn't suit him. He's a stayer, out-and-out stayer, so we brought him back to up to the 3,200 again. He's got a big weight to carry. It's going to be a tough ask, but the more it rains, the better his chances will be.
No question about the stamina of Kenan.
Yeah, 100%. I think his last run was a little bit disappointing. I'd like to say he is better than that, and we are expecting a much better effort.
King Mambo, he's also consistent. He could get a blow in.
Yeah, I've got a question mark over the distance. but he's from a very stout family, and he's now mature. He's a lot sounder than he was as a young horse. So if all things being equal on the day, I'm sure he'll give a good account of himself.
And I don't know that I'd say this to your dad, but I think you must be scratching your head a little bit with Persian Rug, because we know the ability's there. She's just got to put it together.
Yeah, I thought the last one was a lot better. You know, she's a filly that's been plagued with foot problems, and funny enough, we ran her last time without the shoes, and she seemed to run very well. So we're going to be doing that again on Saturday. It's a very tough and competitive field, but we expect a decent run.
Well, the big day is upon us, and you start bright and early in the first race with Apocalypse Now, Lyle Hewitson, and of course Furiosa, who's run second behind a very good horse of Alec Laird's, who's obviously got collateral form with other feature race horses. So how do you see it?
I think Furiosa, the form seems solid. Obviously, he's going to be wanting a bit further in time, but he's just a bit too big and a bit too headstrong at the moment to try that just yet. But I'd give him a chance in this field. However, this field has got a lot of first-timers, and obviously, through history, people know that it's a strong race. They wouldn't be sitting on first-timers for this race if they weren't half decent. My other runner, Apocalypse Now, is lovely, big action, big horse. I think he'll also do well over the mile, but he's also a nice horse.
Excellent. Then we're on to the second, where obviously Drumfire is scratched due to victory. Magicality is the mount of Samanga.
Yeah, it looks like a competitive field. French Legend is a filly that I rate, and Alec Laird's horses run quite close to her. And Diane Stenger's horse was not too far behind. Once again, a lot of first-timers, and I think the same applies, that it will be a competitive race. We might find one or two special horses in these maidens, but Magicality is fitting well, and on her form she must have a chance.
Excellent. As we move on to the first leg of the place accumulator, heaps of fun, and Old M, this is a very interesting race. Of course, Rebel to the Fore is also there with Swift Sarah.
Heaps of Fun, I think, is a classy filly. She does want further, but at the same time, she's never let the side down over this trip, and her work has been very good. It wouldn't surprise me to see her flying at them late. We know that she has competed in Group 1s and been competitive, so you know she could just be flying late. Old M probably might need this run. We've done what we can, and her work is good, but just looking at the field, it's a very, very open race, and she may just need the run. Rebel to the Fore is obviously a classy filly, but she's got her issues, and she's lightly raced. I think her prep run was pretty good, and you know, if she brings her best form, she's got to be a big runner. And Swift Sarah, once we took the tongue tie off, she found her own old form in her last run. She's a filly that I've always rated, and I think she's coming back at the right time.
But suffice to say that I think we all got to beat Johan Janssen van Vuren's filly.
I'll make it opened.
Okie dokie. We get on to a very, very interesting contest with all of Buckland, Bull Valley, Trip to Heaven. It's just about as good a field as you could ever hope to find.
Yeah, it is a strong race. Obviously, Talk to the Stars, you know, a bit of a curveball on its last run. If we have to trust that run, then obviously at the weights we should have it held. Trip to Heaven's come out of the run well. Obviously, there is the second run, and it was quite close to the run. It was just a fortnight to go. But I mean, I can't say enough about the horse and his ability. If he comes out the gates and lands running, he'll be a massive runner. And Bull Valley, I mean, look at his record, 4 from 6. He also needed his last run. He had a harder run than what I'd hoped he'd have, and we just hope that doesn't send him a little bit backwards, but at the same time he's moving well, and he should be competitive.
Buckland?
Buckland is a horse that, although he was well beaten last time, he had a foot abscess going into the race, and he had an interrupted program. At the same time, he's getting a big pull in the weights with Kangaroo Jack on the times that he's met him. I mean, I know Kangaroo Jack's class, but at the same time, we needed to run him just to test the form, because at the weights, he's got to have some sort of a chance.
Okay, lovely. Then on to the 5th race, which is the Hertz Mile. French Legend, Smiling Blue Eyes, and Tambalang are your representatives there.
Yeah, we've got ordinary draws with two of them. Tambalang's last win was certainly encouraging, and you know, she's a filly that I've thought is going to be this a classic type filly from day one. She's certainly making the improvement with racing. French Legend, I'm very concerned about the draw because she can travel a bit too well at times. And Smiling Blue Eyes, we're coming back in trip, but you know, that's going to be heavy going, maybe soft going, yielding, whatever you want to call it. And she liked that the last time. So she may, even though she's a maiden winner, she may just up her game. I think I've got a nice coupling, but they're obviously much stronger form in this race. And I'm just hoping that any one of my fillies can step up. This is quite a strong race in that Mark de Kock looks to hold the aces, but at the same time, Dusra, Jiffy, maybe even aggressive if he's looking for the trip, and looking at his pedigree, there's no reason why he shouldn't be looking for the trip. So it's ultra competitive. I just feel that the form has worked out well from that ready to run race, and I felt that a Greater Power ran below par, but probably better over the mile. I'm taking an absolute chance, and Harmon, although I think he's up to this class, it may be coming a bit soon for him, and 14 draw to boot. So I think the 2-3-year-old races I'm probably at my weakest, but obviously I've got them in hoping that they step up.
Okay, well, the SANSUI Summer Cup has been extremely well documented, but it's now crunch time, and all the stuff we've spoken about boils down to how the last week or so has gone in terms of their final preparation. Let's start with the horse with the least wins under the belt, but clearly the most potential, Samurai Blade.
Well, Samurai Blade, we have to just look at his form of last season, and coming in off a nice low weight, he's certainly reproducing a run in the Derby. He would be a massive runner. He's got a draw. His prep's been good. Liege, I think, is a horse that is improving all the time. We didn't try and get him into the July or anything like that with this race in mind. He's done everything we've asked of him. His prep's been quite smooth, and I don't think the draw will trouble him. Stonehenge is also a horse that just took a run or two to get going after gelding, and I was very pleased with his last win, even though it was a very average field. But the fact that he comes into this race with a nice low weight makes me feel that he's not just there to make up the field. He's quite a nice wild card to have in the race. Having said that, it's a very, very competitive handicap, and you can't have any real confidence. A lot of it's going to be luck in running, especially if the going comes up soft or heavy. So my 3 horses are well prepared, and I'm happy to have them in, but I can't have any confidence looking at how competitive the handicap is.
Lovely. And then on to the Ipitombi, where you've got both Intergalactic and Tahini, and of course Wakanup. Also a very competitive lineup.
Yes, the handicap. I don't know how I've looked these draws, but I mean I haven't got the best draws on the day. Intergalactic drawn 11 out of 11. That's obviously the negative. The positive is she's fit and well. She's competed in group company and really run her heart out and done well in that company. Wakanup, I think, is going to be tailor-made to the course and distance. I think her prep's been very, very good. I think Pierre will suit her. And I think Tahini, that last run, we have to put a line through it. I must say the encouraging thing about Tahini is the only time she ran in the yielding, she upped her game significantly. So that just may be something that we didn't consider when we did a post-mortem on her last run. But it's now 3rd run after her rest, and if she could reproduce the form that saw her beat Karari Falcon, then she should be alive in this race.
There's very little doubt that you will have a measure of success during the course of the day, but if for any rhyme or reason you don't land up in the winner's enclosure, Lunar approaches a horse that you've planned carefully. You've always had high expectations. Perhaps he didn't quite get to the charity mile, but I think he's got a massive chance on Saturday.
Yes, he has to be a big runner. You know, it's well documented that I felt I made a huge error going for the blinkers to try and force that qualifying run into the charity mile. Having said that, you know, in a normal handicap, he couldn't win on the day. So, I mean, charity mile, you know, it's debatable whether that would have made a difference. But on the day, he did run on very well on a day where everything seemed to be staying on from the front. And he's had a good preparation and he's got the form, so he must be a big runner.
All right, Geoff, the majority of people that we've spoken to during the course of the morning and the course of the week are of the opinion that the imponderables in the first race are quite significant, and your horse, number 11, who's the boss now, just happens to be one of those.
Yeah, Andy, he's a very smart little colt, you know. He's a full brother to Master and Commander, and I kind of bought him on the strength of what I thought of Master and Commander, you know, earlier on. And he's certainly going to be a nice miler at least. He's fast. Yeah, I would have fancied him quite strongly until I opened the race card, because, I mean, it just really, it looks incredibly strong, this race. So I guess you're going to have to be guided by the betting, but for me, I'll just say to anybody having a bet, you've got to include him in everything, probably along with 3 or 4 others. Yeah, she also quite a nice little filly, but once again, it looks like a tricky sort of a race. So I wouldn't say that I necessarily fancy her to win, but I think she should run, you know, a forward race and probably needs to be included in place bets.
Okay, then you've got Raymond Danielson on number 14, Summer Wind, in race 2, along with Truth of Beauty, who is the mount of Chase Mojan.
Yeah, look, I think in the race, Truth of Beauty would be our main runner. She's had, well, if it wasn't for bad luck, she's had no luck. You know, she really has had a wretched time at the starting stalls. She bumped her head in the pens last time, and you know, although obviously nothing showed at the start there, I think she shouldn't have run because she came back with a bit of a nosebleed. You know, she was actually bleeding sort of from her sinuses, so she didn't have a lung bleed. She just bumped her head and got a nosebleed. So far from ideal, but you know, she's over that and she's well again. And I must just remind the starter perhaps to put her in a bit later, you know, because she doesn't stand, and otherwise she's got very good form. Summer Wind, nice filly, probably looking for further. Really just an outing for experience. She might need 1 or 2 sprints, but I think she'll be looking for ground when you know, to be ready to win. I once again, I looked at this race and it's very, very strong. There are probably 4 or 5 very, very good colts in there. And I think maybe this time around, Michael's horse, Heavenly Blue, I think Michael possibly holds the whip hand in this race, but I think Singapore Sling's come along the right way. If we're all raving about Dewsbury and Heavenly Blue, he was only 0.4 of a length behind them last time, and he was still running a bit green. Bearing in mind, was, you know, still only was his 3rd start. I think he's in great shape, and I just hope he's not too wet, because I don't know. He's a good actioned horse, and I don't know how much he'd enjoy that. But I guess that would apply to half the field. Yeah. But I think he's another horse. You know, he's going to improve some more, I think, and he should be included.
You've structured your day beautifully with 4 runners in the SANSUI Summer Cup. As the defending champion and having won the race the last 3 years, you probably couldn't be more happy with your hand.
Look, I'm very excited with the horses, Andrew. Master Sabina, I think honestly he's in better condition this year than what he was last year. His comeback run was really good at the Vaal, and he's come on lengths from that. So I'm very happy with them, and Gavin's very happy. You know, we both feel that he's quite a bit better than he was for this race last year. So, you know, that's him. Diogo Venti, I think he's come along exactly the right way. 3rd in the charity mile, and he'll love this 2,000 metres standside track. He's proven that already.
and Superman climbs aboard, that also gives you a bit more confidence, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Look, Anton's, you know, I've always told him if he sticks at it, he'll probably make it as a jockey. But I'm very happy with him, Andrew, and he's slightly worse off at the weights this year than he was last year, but he's a year older, and I think he's only now reached his prime. So, plus he's a big, strapping, strong horse, so I don't think weight actually is going to affect him much at all. And Master Switch, you know, he's a jet master, turned 5 now, fairly lightly raced, and I think he's won 5 of his 15 starts. He's come into the handicap, you know, at a beautiful level, and I'm delighted Anthony's riding him. I think he's a super jockey. Difficult draw, but pretty much the same draw I think that Dio jumped from last year. So, you know, it's not that a good draw is vital for the horses. I think it depends how the race unfolds, of course. But I'll just leave the riding to Anthony and, you know, just hope he gets luck in the running. And the other guy, Master and Commander, I think this is the ceiling for him as regards distance. He's got to be ridden pretty much, I think, like he doesn't get the trip. But Alex will know what to do. So sit very quietly, bide your time. He's got a wonderful turn of foot when it's asked of him. So, you know, while he might look like the weakest of our 4, he's not a bad little horse, and I could see him sneaking into a place somewhere.
Do you see any natural pace in this race?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the pace will come from the big field. You know, people are not going to want, jockeys are not going to want to travel wide. They're either going to want to get forward. I just find the big races, most of the time the pace is on a bit, you know, especially in Johannesburg. So I'm just hoping that whoever does go to the front, you know, doesn't go and put the brakes on, because that would be a tragedy.
What would you say about the conglomerate's preparation?
The preparation for conglomerate is very good. It's going the way I like to be going with. I'm happy for the horse. When it came from KwaZulu-Natal, it was okay. It was come from the break. Now from KwaZulu-Natal, from Joburg, it's taking like 3 weeks to show you that now we know where about. Now you can start carry on with him. Joey and Derek, he sit down. He's looking for the races when I go with him. And then he just tell me to nominate those 2 races I go with him.
From the time that we spoke to you at the draw, when he drew 15, until now, the day before the race, has everything gone according to plan?
Yes. Everything is going according to plan. Everything is going well. He's an easy horse to work with him. He seems like I think he's a champion. He's an easy horse to work with him. He's got no problem with him. Since I got that draw, I was a little bit worried on that time, but after that I realized that things are now, the draw is not going to make any changes. As
far as Saint-Tropez is concerned, he went very early in the straight. I'm sure the instructions are going to be different. Do you think he's going to be as effective over 2,000 meters?
I think it'll be a right trip for them 200 meters. Just be riding according to instruction, just to drop it in and send him to L like last time.
So with him being drawn 1, he's going to have to obviously let horses come around him, keep his position on the rail. That hopefully will suit him to get a bit of cover.
Yes, that's all suit him, get him in cover, but I don't want him, all of them to come in front of him and end up at last.
Can you separate Saint-Tropez and the conglomerate in terms of where you think they'll run in the Summer Cup?
I'm not going to be surprised anyone win, because I like both them. I'm happy for his work, so I won't surprise anyone can come. I put them both in a quartet, I put both on a trifecta, I put both on a swinger. I'll be that confident. The main thing is coming for both trainers, because it's a Spanish trainer. He's a good trainer, special WODDRUFF. He's defending a champion. You see, he's got 2 same horses, and then he's got another 2, the good one horses. He's a professional trainer, longer than this game. When Sean Terry is a champion trainer, I respect what those big men on the games. But also, I'm ready for the day.
You ready to take them on?
Yes. I'm ready to take him on.